Sex ed in schools, was it like this?
Oh, yes. Well, each of us is different from the day we're born. No two people are exactly alike. Then at puberty, certain glands begin to work, and our bodies begin to change.
But where are these glands?
Yeah. And what's puberty?
Well, puberty? Well, puberty's a lot of things. Pressure from a full bladder can cause it, or rhythmic movements of the body, horseback riding, say. Mainly, though, it's a time of change. For you, it means your bodies are changing from boys to men.
Yeah, but where do these glands come in?
Here, maybe a diagram will help. Here's the penis and the scrotum that holds the testicles or testes inside.
You mean like a chicken egg?
Oh, yes, that's right. Now, when you're around 14, maybe sooner, maybe later, the testes start making a chemical substance called a hormone.
A Minnesota survey revealed that 89% of parents recommended that sex education in schools, starting in junior high, have abstinence and comprehensive sex education included.
In fact, parents actually perceive that adolescents primarily get their information on sex from their peers and from the media.
8 out of 10 Americans believe adolescents should be given information to protect themselves from unwanted pregnancies, STIs, as well as abstinence.
And speaking of that, the current trend in the United States in sex ed is a more focus on abstinence.
Right. A study by Coher, Manhunt, and Lafferty in 2008 concluded that a comprehensive sex education was less likely to have adolescents report teen pregnancies than those who were given abstinence-only education. By comparing the United States and Sweden, the researchers noted that while Swedish teens were sexually active earlier, they have actually one of the lowest teen pregnancy rates in the world. One reason is that teachers handle the subject of sex whenever it becomes relevant, regardless of the subject. The idea is to de-dramatize and demystify sex so that familiarity will make students less vulnerable to unwanted pregnancies and STIs.
Drew, we also conducted several interviews across the U of A campus and asked people to describe their experiences with sex ed in schools.
Sex ed? I remember just being taught how to do it, not the consequences. Again, like how do you use a condom, stuff like that.
Was it helpful?
If I were having sex.
It was awkward and treated as a joke.
So was it helpful?
It was always an awkward experience. There was always the jokesters. It was always funny when someone said penis. It was always very hard for the teacher to teach it, always. And I just remember any sex ed class that I was in junior high, the teacher was blushing. So, and that was due to the fact that there were so many boys in that class. Just, God, like we talked about gonorrhea and everyone lost their minds. It was hilarious. But younger grades, I remember taking sex ed in like grade 5. Way different experience because it was also new, and I think everyone wasn't as didn't have that immature or mature. They didn't know anything, so junior high was rough.
We didn't really have any. I think we took some kind of course. I can't even remember what it was called. It's probably like COM today. Perspectives for Living. It was PFL. That's what it was, and they kind of touched on that a little bit, but nothing. Like no diseases or anything, any issues like that.
So was it helpful?
No.
Why?
I'm really dating myself here.
No, this is great.
Well, it didn't really. I think it was more of a skim the surface course. I mean, back then I'm sure they would have gotten into trouble even with parents if they were maybe more specific. I don't know. But yeah, it wasn't very useful.
Awkward. Blushing all the time. I didn't really say much. I just kind of sat there and waited for it to be over.
Well, it was just a boring class that we took it in grade 9, so we weren't really that mature, and it was just like every time the word penis came around, everyone would just giggle, so that was just like, it wasn't the best, didn't really learn anything.
Did you
So what about Canada? Well, in fact, in Alberta, we have several laws we have to consider. One is Bill C-44, the ATA Code of Conduct, the Canadian Bill of Rights, and the UN Charter of Rights. And also, we have to also consider the cultural dynamics of our classroom when teaching sex ed.
Which leads us actually to a British study done on the role of religion on sex education. 60% of about 3,000 that were surveyed wants to know more about sexual behavior. Also, in some religions, it was more important to have a teacher that was closer in age. And in others, it was more important to have someone with the same religious beliefs.
We also undertook a question to the U of A campus and asked people, what advice would you give to a new teacher when they're teaching sex ed? And here are their responses.
If I were to talk to a new teacher about teaching kids about sex, I would teach them, or I would tell them to talk to the kids about more factual information about sex, like this is what happens, this is what can come of it, rather than how to do it, because I think they're just preparing kids to have sex because they just assume that they're just going to do it anyways. So that's why I would say.
To take it seriously and to understand that the kids might feel awkward learning about it, but it's important that they learn about it and that you take it seriously.
Just to know that it's not going to be a serious atmosphere. Like if you're teaching junior high sex ed, you have to come at it with a light heart, because there's no way you're going to step in there and be directive and authoritative and have them respect you for that. You're going to have to know that there's going to be giggles and laughs and that you can't be a hard ass about it. You're going to have to just take it as it comes. That's what she said.
I would say be very open and frank and teach it as if it's a fact of life. It's not scary or something you laugh about. It's part of life and you need to know it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Be as open as you can about it, because it's something that happens for most people. I'm not going to say everyone, because not everyone has sex, but it's, if your kids have questions, you have to answer them honestly. You can't just say, oh no, don't have sex because you'll get pregnant. Okay, well, chances are they're going to have sex, so you might as well tell them what's really going to happen if they do.
I'd say teach it at maybe in grade 10 or 11, where the kids are a bit more mature, and so they don't really like giggle at every like penis or vagina. So yeah.
Great.
Get someone else to teach it.
And with that, that concludes our topic of sex.
Just as to recap, remember that on your left-hand side is all the studies that we've included in our presentation and in extra information.
And on the bottom, we have our references as well.
Please check them out, and we hope you had a wonderful time watching this presentation.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Oh, me.